guy who feels like we're talking about him pretty consistently, Action Bronson, who I mean, since we started the podcast, has released 4 or 5 albums now. I think we've talked about 4 of them though. I don't know if we talked about Blue Chip 7000 back in 2017, but White Bronco, Lambs Over Rice, Only for Dolphins, and now Cocodrillo Turbo.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is he seems to be leaning more and more into his like zaniness, and
Yep.
I really just love it because I really don't think there's anyone that makes music quite like Action Bronson right now.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking to the zaniness, this is the fourth album slash project in a row where he's painted the album cover himself. You gotta give it up to him. I also quite appreciate that the album cover for this sixth Action Bronson album is a crocodile of some kind, but the name is Cocodrillo. It's like trying to get you to say crocodile or crocodillo, but that's not what the word is. You got to read. Challenging us here. But yeah, Action Bronson, he's just kind of, I think, settled in to what he does best after he left Atlantic Records, left the major label, something that never really made sense to him and the kind of artist, kind of personality he is. Now he's on Loma Vista. This is the second record with them. And in a sense, it's once again more Action Bronson, something you've probably heard on past Action Bronson album reviews. But if you're a fan of his and you've probably been listening to him for some time, that is not a negative. That is kind of the point of listening to Action Bronson. I want him to do what he does because what he does is very funny and enjoyable usually.
Yeah, it's funny that he is probably a artist that I think of as a singular personality, and that personality shines through in his music and everything he does. But it still really just feels not only authentic but really interesting. I think about kind of what we got on the last album, right? Which I think we liked a lot. Only for Dolphins, it was another one, like you said, like it's Action Bronson, but it's still good and it's still like fun, even if it's not the best thing you're gonna listen to all year. And that felt a little bit more Latin influence. You think about a song like Latin Grammys, which is
Hmm.
directly relating to that, but also just like maybe a bit grander at times. Like Goldeneye felt very like operatic in some ways, and this feels Cocodrillo Turbo feels a little bit more like grounded, if that's the right word. It's like
Hmm.
really biting a lot of samples of blues, like old school blues sound. And even though if there's still some really strange and out there moments, this just felt a little bit more like I don't know, a little bit more grounded, I guess. It's just kind of like kept coming back
Hmm.
to like he was trying to get back to some sort of roots or something like that. What do
Yeah.
you think of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, his style of rapping, or of course, 10 years ago, bust out compared to Ghostface so long ago at this point. But his
Hmm.
style, Actions never switched up who he was. But his style is, I think, more popular, at least more common than it was in the recent years. Think of Griselda. You have Conway on this album. Think of Freddie Gibbs, The Alchemist, a longtime collaborator with Action, just like with Freddie. So I think there's just a lot of appetite for this kind of music. Again, it's not the most mainstream, hottest form of rap, but there's definitely an audience for this. And Action himself, of course, has already established that audience. So I think it sounded familiar to me because I feel like I'm just listening to more of this music, without having to go find it. You can always listen to this music, but it's not as like underground as other like throwback indebted New York hip hop has been more recently. So I think there's a lot of classic hallmarks of what you associate with Action Bronson, which is namely just kind of like random references that are just kind of off the wall, pulled out of nowhere. Sometimes they're just straight up non sequiturs. I think those are the songs that may be more challenging just because they might not make a lot of sense, but hopefully they're making you laugh. Like on Tongpo with Conway, you have just a random line that's so Action. Bitch thought I was Craig Biggio, but I am not ho. Like, who else would ever think to say that?
Yeah. He he has a bunch of like really funny lines like that. There's a line on Jaguar that just out of nowhere, he rhymes shore with shore, but he says, I'm positioned at high ground covering the shore. Your bitch got a face like Pauly Shore, which I don't know why, just really like made me laugh. Like,
Mm.
I also liked I forgot which song it was, but I wrote it down. I feel like Cuomo. I see titties. I'm like, let me grab them.
Oh
Okay,
God.
yeah, he's just going for the political discourse,
Queens rapper. There you go.
um, yeah, I thought that some of the production on this was pretty interesting. One moment I just want to get out of the way that I really hated was at the end of Jaguar, where it's just like a bunch of, I think it's like pigs squealing or something like that as
Something,
they're
yeah.
like being killed. Really hated that. But otherwise, I thought there was some like really like fun production on this. Hound Dog, like I was kind of talking about. Well, actually, that one's actually pretty more produced. I think I'm thinking more of like Tongbo or yeah, Tongpo is the one I was thinking of specifically, where it has that really like bluesy feel to it, where it's just like the guitar being like plucked by somebody, but then he has like just like random like horns kind of like popping in every once in a while, and really feels kind of similar to some of the stuff he's done before. I liked Jaws a lot. I think that's one of my favorites off this. It's a little bit more toned down, but it has that like 70s feel that you kind of feel in a lot of his
Mm,
songs. So I
sure.
don't know. There's a lot of stuff to like on here.
Totally. I had a line I really liked on Jaguar as well. "Goddamn, bro, you looking like a bison." "Nah, dog, I look like M. Bison." Street Fighter
Oh
reference.
no.
Also
Well,
on, I thought Estaciones was really funny where you have Hologram, like, dropping in to do his feature, and then Action just cuts him off and starts rhyming and rapping right off the last bar, and then he completely apologizes for cutting off Hologram, and Hologram restarts his feature. I thought that was, like, really funny. Obviously, it's staged and intentional, but, like, I thought that was really funny.
yeah, no, that I agree. That was a fun moment. Um, any songs that you would say you liked more than others on this?
Yeah, I think Jaguar, Tongpo, Staciones, they definitely stand out the most to me. That's the thing too. It's like 10 tracks, 30 minutes. Like he's just in the short and sweet mode the past few years, which is always welcome.
Yeah, I agree. I think a song I liked a lot, and I don't know if it's my favorite, but just like the overall vibe to it was Zambezi with Rock Marciano. I
Yeah, there
think
you
they
go.
like play off each other well, and it's just such like a like slow churning, like don't, and they just both sound really great over it. So, yeah, there's a lot to like on here. Again, this isn't an album that I think will blow anyone away, but if you like what Action does, like you're gonna like this. Real quick for you, out of the four we have talked about, White Bronco, Lamb Over Rice, Only for Dolphins, and now Cocodrillo Turbo,
Yeah.
which one would you say is your favorite?
It's a great question. It's either uh this one or Only for Dolphins. I thought White Bronco was the weakest of the group. And this is
Mm,
including Blue Chip 7000 as well. I think White Bronco was you action seemed a little like aimless at times, where it just kind of like just putting words together almost, which he can still do convincingly, but just I don't know, he didn't seem as inspired. But these past two albums, they seem like he's kind of back on his shit, which makes sense because he seems to be very happy with his life right now. He's lost some weight, seems to be in good spirits. So I think these two albums are probably the closest and best thing he's done since his really early work.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's probably only for Dolphins for me, but this one is definitely up there. It'll be interesting to listen to this back later on in the year and see where it hits for me. But we'll be adding one of these songs to our Nostalgia Best of 2022.